Imagine your fence waking up. The old door you rescued becomes an heirloom gate. A single sheet of corrugated steel catches the afternoon sun and turns shadows into patterns. Jars you almost binned glow like tiny constellations along a cedar rail. The top line waves, higher where conversations need privacy, lower where flowers deserve the sky. And when friends arrive, a reclaimed barn door drops into a bar as if the fence was always meant to host. This isn't new lumber. It's yesterday's scraps telling a better story, right in your backyard. Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, where trash becomes garden treasure and small spaces feel magical. If you love rustic upcycles, bottle brilliance, and Ferrari-ready corners, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We drop fresh ideas every week in this series. While you watch, tell us in the comments, where are you tuning in from, and which idea would you try first? One heirloom gate from an old door. Imagine walking through a doorway that feels older than the garden itself. An heirloom gate, shaped from a discarded wooden door, leans into its second life with dignity. Its surface holds the faded whispers of paint long weathered by time, while a diagonal brace tells a story of strength stitched into imperfection. The iron handle, rubbed with beeswax, glows softly in the late sun, catching light like an antique memory. Around it, ivy clings as if it has always known this frame. Wildflowers rest at the base, bowing gently each time the breeze wanders through. The gate does not merely separate space, it welcomes, suggesting that beyond lies something worth slowing down for, worth cherishing. There's a quiet poetry in such transformations. What was once abandoned now stands as the most enchanting part of the garden. Each visitor who pushes it open feels the weight of history made humble, and the promise of a new season waiting inside. From here, the path continues, and with it another surprise, proof that beauty thrives in the simplest scraps. Two, corrugated steel insert between wood sections. Picture a stretch of fence that suddenly shifts in tone, wood soft and matte, then a shimmer of steel gliding across its center like water caught in sunlight. Corrugated panels, once destined for the scrapyard, now sit framed in timber, their ridges scattering reflections into the garden. Each ripple in the metal becomes a brushstroke of light, a rhythm that changes with every passing hour. The weathered wood beside it holds its ground, warm and textured, anchoring the steel's cool brilliance. Together they echo the balance of the countryside, barn and sky, timber and tin, woven into one quiet frame. Plants lean close, their green and bloom mirrored faintly in the steel, as if the garden itself is admiring its reflection. At dusk, when lanterns flicker and shadows lengthen, the insert glows with an unexpected softness, no longer industrial, but almost poetic. This small departure from plain boards does more than divide space. It invites contrast, reminding us that harmony often lives in opposites. A fence like this whispers resilience, telling visitors that even discarded metal can shine again when given a frame of care. And beyond this gleam, the path continues, toward another rustic surprise waiting in the garden's story. 3. Wavy fence top profile. Envision a fence that refuses to march in rigid lines. Instead, it rises and dips like rolling hills, echoing the gentle undulation of farmland under an open sky. The wavy profile softens the garden's edge, turning what could have been a barrier into a frame that breathes with the land. Near the seating nook, the arc climbs higher, offering a sense of privacy, like a quiet pause in music. Just a few feet away, the line falls gracefully, opening a window to the blooms beyond, allowing the garden to share its brightest colors without restraint. This ebb and flow feels organic, as though the fence itself is listening to the rhythms of nature. The grain of the reclaimed boards curves into the silhouette, and each cut speaks less of precision and more of character. In late afternoon, when the sun slants low, shadows bend across the curves, drawing patterns that shift with every passing cloud. A wavy fence whispers of freedom, freedom from perfection, from the demand for straight lines. It reminds us that beauty often lies in the irregular, in the unexpected. And as you follow its arcs, the garden invites you onward, where light and lanterns wait to surprise. Four, bottle lantern rail with tile shelf. Along the fence, a quiet line of bottles awakens as dusk falls. Each glass vessel, once discarded, now flickers with warm light, turning into a lantern that hums softly against the wood. They rest upon a shelf of cedar, its surface topped with terracotta tiles, an earthy armor that carries both heat and history. The glow is not loud or hurried. It is steady, gentle, like fireflies gathering to mark the passage of evening. Shadows stretch across the garden path, and the bottles cast fragments of color onto petals and leaves, making the night feel more alive than the day. Above, the curve of each terracotta tile catches the last of the sun, holding its warmth long after light has faded. Below, herbs and wildflowers lean toward the soft radiance, as if seeking comfort from their glass guardians. This is more than a shelf or a lantern rail. It is a chorus of second chances, materials once unwanted, now shining together as if they were always destined for this place. A fence that carries light becomes a companion to every twilight gathering, whispering that beauty grows brightest in what we choose not to throw away. Five, drop-down barn door bar. From the fence comes a secret, a door that does not lead through, but folds down to welcome. A reclaimed barn door, once weathered by seasons, now lowers into a bar, its surface wide enough to hold glasses of iced tea or jars of glowing candles. Iron hinges, blackened with time, swing open with a quiet confidence, and corner brackets frame the wood with strength. The grain of the barn door tells of its past life, fields, storms, and hands that worked upon it. Yet here it offers something lighter, a moment of gathering, of laughter carried on evening air. When folded down, it becomes a stage for conversation. When lifted back, the fence returns to its clean line, as if nothing more existed. This duality feels almost magical, a piece of furniture that breathes with the rhythm of the garden itself. Friends lean on its edge, herbs growing nearby release their fragrance, and above it all the soft glow of lanterns completes the scene. The drop-down bar whispers of hospitality crafted from scraps, reminding us that even the simplest hinge can open a door to connection. And as it folds away, the garden hints, there are still more secrets hidden along its rustic frame. Six, shadowline rails. Not every detail shouts, some whisper with light. Shadowline rails are born when boards of different thickness meet in the same frame. The thick beams stand firm, the slimmer ones retreat, and together they create a rhythm of shadows that move across the day. Morning brings long streaks, soft and stretched. At noon, the texture sharpens into crisp contrast, like lines drawn by an unseen hand. This play is effortless, requiring no paint, no trim, no added ornament. It is the wood itself, raised and recessed, bold and subtle, that performs the dance. The blackened screws, left visible rather than hidden, wink against the grain like punctuation, small reminders that imperfection is part of the design. In the evening, when lantern light joins the stage, the rails seem to carry depth beyond their thickness. Guests might run their fingers along the surface, tracing the difference between beam and slat, surprised at how such a simple gesture creates richness. Shadowline rails are not about perfection or precision. They are about depth, about inviting the eye to linger a moment longer. A fence made this way does more than divide. It captivates, holding daylight and shadow as its own quiet art. Seven, ladder planter strip. Against the fence rises a ladder, not meant for climbing but for growing. Each rung holds a terracotta pot, some spilling with strawberries, others brimming with herbs. The staggered steps create a rhythm of green and red, a vertical garden that seems to climb toward the light itself. The wood is simple, salvaged from old pickets, its grain weathered into quiet grace. Yet it carries life upward, each shelf a stage for roots and leaves to perform their season's story. Cascading foliage tumbles down, softening the straight lines of the fence, turning a flat wall into a living canvas. Morning light pours across the ladder, casting long shadows that dance between the rungs. By evening, lanterns nearby echo the descending trails of vines, and the whole corner glows as if enchanted. It is both functional and poetic, a way to harvest flavor from a small space, and a way to stretch beauty vertically when the ground offers little room. In its modest form, the ladder planter whispers an old truth. Growth is not bound to the soil beneath us. It can rise, step by step, along any frame willing to hold it. And just beyond, another transformation waits in wood and vine. Eight, living fence pockets. Imagine a fence that does more than frame the garden. It breathes with it. Along its rails, small mesh pockets cradle soil and bulbs, each one a promise waiting to unfurl. Shoots of green press outward, stretching into sunlight, while vines twine upward as though the wood itself had sprouted new life. The pockets are humble, stitched from biodegradable mesh, held in place with jute twine. Yet within them, magic stirs. Daffodils bursting in spring, fragrant climbers weaving their way through summer, and late blossoms painting the fence in autumn's palette. Each season rewrites the fence line without ever changing the structure. There is a romance here, like a wall draped in living tapestries. Butterflies linger on blossoms, bees hum in soft chorus, petals scatter like confetti onto the gravel path below. At dusk, the silhouettes of leaves ripple against lantern light, making the fence appear less like a boundary and more like a stage where nature performs. A living fence is not built once. It grows, transforms, and surprises. It reminds us that beauty thrives in motion, in the patient unfolding of seasons. And just beyond these green pockets lies another tale, where even color itself plays with space and light. Nine, palette color gradient. Sometimes the simplest gesture is arranging what already exists. A fence built from reclaimed boards becomes a canvas when each plank is placed not at random, but in a gentle sequence of tone. Pale pine at one end glows like honey under sunlight, while deeper cedar and weathered gray fade toward the other, like dusk trailing after dawn. This gradient guides the eye, stretching a small yard wider, drawing attention across the boundary in one sweeping line. The effect costs nothing, no paint, no stain, only patience in pairing each board by shade, like notes in a rustic melody. Every color tells a story of its past. Pine bleached by summer, cedar warmed by years of sun, barnwood aged into soft gray whispers. Together, they create harmony no store-bought palette can imitate. In morning light, the gradient sings bright and golden. By evening, it settles into cool calm. Flowers leaning against the fence seem more vivid, their petals standing out against shifting backgrounds of tone. A palette color gradient is not decoration. It is poetry written in wood grain, a reminder that beauty often lies not in perfection, but in the way differences are arranged side by side. Ten, bee windows and birdhouse under rail. Along the fence line, tiny circles punctuate the wood, small windows, no bigger than a thumbprint. They are not for us, but for the bees, gentle pollinators who slip quietly into their hollows. Each hole becomes a sanctuary, a resting place for creatures whose wings keep the garden alive. Just beneath the rail, a birdhouse swings softly. Its cedar body, modest and unpainted, feels as though it grew from the fence itself. Wrens and sparrows dart in and out, carrying twigs, song, and life into its little frame. Together, these details shift the fence from structure to ecosystem. In the morning, bees hum like a chorus beneath the rising sun, while the birdhouse fills with chirps that echo through vines and blossoms. By evening, the air is still, but the knowledge of life tucked into the wood lingers, comforting, unseen, yet essential. This is more than design. It is invitation, proof that the smallest gestures, a drilled hole, a simple box, can ripple outward into abundance. A fence that houses life becomes more than boundary, it becomes community. And just beside this chorus of wings, another transformation waits to be revealed in wood and time. Tea plus vinegar steel wool patina. Some finishes are bought in tins, others are brewed in teapots. A pot of black tea, steeped strong and dark, brushes across bare wood. The tannins sink deep, quieting the raw brightness. Then a vinegar jar, steeped overnight with steel wool, follows. As the liquid touches the surface, a transformation begins. What was once pale pine or cedar slowly darkens, shifting through browns into silvery grays, until the fence carries the look of decades in a single afternoon. The reaction is humble chemistry, yet its effect is profound. Boards that read like history, though they are only days old. Grain lines rise into contrast, knots gain shadows, and the whole surface takes on a quiet dignity. Against the vibrant greens of the garden, the muted tones stand like a backdrop for color, making flowers burn brighter and vines seem more vivid. This patina is more than surface. It is time made visible, memory distilled into wood. It asks nothing expensive, only patience, a tea bag, and a jar left overnight. In the end, the fence does not look painted, but weathered by sun, storm, and season. An old soul reborn to frame the garden anew. "12. Trash to hooks and enamel pitcher planters." What once cluttered cupboards and drawers now dances on the fence with renewed purpose. Enamel pitchers, chipped but still gleaming, tilt sideways as planters, their mouths spilling over with herbs and trailing greenery. Each pitcher is numbered, stenciled in farmhouse script, turning trash into a playful parade of containers. Beside them, forks once bent out of shape now curve into whimsical hooks. Their tines, twisted by heat, hold garden tools, lanterns, or even a draped cloth, functional yet quietly poetic. Silver once destined for scrap now serves the soil, standing proudly in plain sight. Together, pitchers and hooks transform the fence into a gallery of reinvention. Colorful blooms tumble against glossy enamel, while polished metal flashes in the sun. What was mismatched, forgotten, and discarded now breathes unity through arrangement. Visitors pause, smiling at the charm, tracing the stories in every piece. The pitcher that once poured morning milk, the fork that once lingered in family meals. Now they belong to the garden, carrying new roles but the same quiet sense of care. This corner whispers a lesson. Nothing is too small or too broken to bloom again. And just beyond, another design waits, where color itself becomes harmony in wood and garden. "13. Triadic accent rule." A garden fence is not only wood and posts, it is a canvas where color writes its quiet songs. In the Triadic accent rule, 3 hues balance one another like companions in conversation. Sage, drawn from leaves and herbs, offers calm. Terracotta, warm as earth itself, glows from pots and planters. Dusty blue, subtle yet striking, drifts in through a stool, a lantern, or a painted trim. Placed evenly, these tones do not compete. They harmonize, guiding the eye from one corner to another, creating rhythm where monotony might have stood. The muted greens cradle the warmth of terracotta, while the cool blue hums softly between them, like twilight easing into dawn. Nothing here is loud, yet the result feels alive. Flowers appear brighter against muted backdrops, which seems richer when framed by color. Guests may not know the rule, but they feel its effect: balance, energy, and quiet joy. Color, when chosen with care, does not just decorate. It transforms space into experience. A triadic palette whispers that beauty is not in the boldest paint, but in the dialogue between tones. And just beyond this harmony of hues, texture waits to add its own voice. (14) Rope Weave Texture Panel plus Lamb's Ear Base. Some fences invite only the eye, but this one invites the hand. Hemp rope, thick and coarse, weaves diagonally across a wooden frame, catching light and shadow in its rough texture. Each strand tells of fibers twisted by patience, of strength born from simplicity. Beneath it, lamb's ear grows in a soft silver carpet. Its velvety leaves a counterpoint to the rope's rugged grip. To touch one after the other, the rope and then the plant, is to feel contrast made tangible, rough to tender, strength to gentleness. Visitors pause, fingertips lingering, discovering that a fence can speak not only in sight but in sensation. As the day passes, shadows crisscross through the weave, sketching patterns on the ground. By evening, lantern light deepens the texture, making the rope glow faintly while the silvery lamb's ear gleams like moonlight. This pairing is humble. Rope salvaged from use, wood reclaimed, plants thriving in poor soil. Yet together they form an orchestra of texture, reminding us that beauty is not only seen but also felt. And just as these surfaces converse in silence, the garden carries us forward, where boundaries begin to dissolve into rooms of discovery. (15) Garden rooms with slim trellises. Not every boundary needs to close. Some can simply guide. Slim trellises stretch from the fence like open arms, dividing the garden into quiet alcoves without shutting them away. One space holds a bench where ivy climbs softly overhead. Another opens to gravel that crunches beneath the feet near a fire pit. A few steps away, brick underfoot marks the herb corner, fragrant and alive. These divisions are gentle, almost transparent. The trellises frame rather than block, allowing light, air, and glimpses of green to pass through. Vines twine along the wooden lattice, softening the lines, weaving each room into the next with threads of leaf and blossom. Walking through, the garden no longer feels like one space but many, each with its own mood, each a room under the open sky. There is intimacy without confinement, rhythm without rigidity. The shift of ground textures beneath your steps deepens the sense of transition, guiding you from one story into another. Such trellises remind us that gardens, like homes, thrive in variety. By shaping space without walls, they turn a single yard into a journey of rooms, each pause and passage a new chapter in the rustic tale. (16) Gravel set posts. Strength need not always come from cement. At the base of each post, crushed gravel gathers, simple, unassuming, but steadfast. The stones lock together, holding the wood upright while allowing water to drain freely. The post breathes, roots around it thrive, and frost finds no grip to push it loose. Each grain of gravel is small, yet together they form resilience greater than their parts. The weathered post, scarred and sun-bleached, seems more alive when paired with a foundation that is both firm and forgiving. No rigid slab here, only a bed of stone that adapts with the seasons. There is poetry in this choice, a fence rooted not in concrete permanence, but in the shifting patience of earth itself. The texture of gravel at the base glimmers in sunlight, echoing the crunch beneath footsteps along the garden path. And when rain falls, rivulets slip easily through the stones, feeding the roots of nearby flowers. What supports also sustains. In this, the fence becomes more than boundary. It becomes part of the cycle, a partner in growth rather than an obstacle. Through gravel-set posts, the garden teaches again. Strength is not only in hardness, but in balance with the living ground. (17) Forged iron gate handle and oversized brace. A gate is more than an entrance. It is an invitation. This one carries the weight of heritage in its details. A forged iron handle, blackened and rubbed smooth by years of touch, and an oversized diagonal brace stretching boldly across its face. The wood may be reclaimed, sun-bleached and scarred, but the iron grants it gravity, a whisper of permanence in a changing garden. When hand meets handle, it feels cool, steady, grounding. The gate swings open with quiet authority, its brace ensuring strength against both time and weather. This pairing of elements, wood and iron, mirrors the farmhouse spirit, rustic simplicity joined with enduring craft. At dawn, the handle glints against golden light. By evening, lanterns hung nearby catch the brace in shadow, deepening its form. Visitors pause, not just to pass through, but to linger, to trace the grain of the timber and the curve of the iron. In its simplicity, the gate holds narrative, of fields once fenced, of tools forged for function but now cherished for beauty. It stands as both guardian and greeter, reminding us that every threshold can carry story. Beyond it, the garden awaits, another chapter framed in wood and metal. (18) French drain plus rain garden. When rain falls, most fences suffer, but here, the water itself becomes design. A French drain runs parallel to the posts, its gravel trench guiding the flow with quiet precision. Each stone catches drops, carrying them away from wood and roots that might otherwise rot. Yet the journey doesn't end in waste. It ends in a rain garden. At the drain's mouth, a bed of perennials waits. Sedges, coneflowers, and grasses that thrive on the excess. What was once a problem becomes nourishment, a cycle of runoff transformed into bloom. After storms, the trench sparkles, moisture soaking into soil where petals soon unfurl. There is elegance in this unseen choreography, function hidden in beauty. The fence stands drier, stronger, while the garden grows fuller, richer. Birds return to drink, bees hover at blossoms fed by yesterday's rain. This partnership of stone and soil whispers a lesson. Resilience is not resistance but redirection. By working with the rain instead of against it, the garden turns challenge into abundance. A French drain and rain garden are not just maintenance. They are poetry written in water, gravel, and roots. 19. Lighting with copper pipe and solar caps. As day fades, the fence does not disappear into shadow, it begins to glow. Along a reclaimed copper pipe, Edison bulbs hang like fireflies caught in a string, their amber light warming every knot and grain of the wood. Above, the posts wear crowns of solar caps, each one gathering sunlight by day to give it back at night. Together, they weave a rhythm of illumination. Steady bulbs tracing the line of the fence, soft solar halos punctuating the posts. The copper pipe, burnished and warm, reflects the glow with quiet elegance, reminding us that even metal can hold warmth when shaped with care. In this light, the garden transforms. Pathways shimmer, blossoms take on deeper colors, and conversations linger longer into the evening. There is no harsh glare, only layers of gentle radiance that echo the calm of candlelit farm dinners, intimate yet expansive. This is light that honors darkness rather than erasing it, light that flatters faces and wood alike. A fence illuminated this way becomes more than a boundary. It becomes a backdrop for memory, a host for night's gatherings. And just as the last bulb flickers, the garden offers yet another transformation, water shaped into poetry. (20) Water-shedding board tops. Rain falls gently, and the fence does not resist, it guides. Each board top, cut with a subtle angle, sheds water away like a sloping roof. Droplets slide down, shimmering for a moment before falling into the soil below, sparing the wood from slow decay. This detail is almost invisible at first glance, yet it carries profound wisdom. A fence built this way endures not through defiance, but through cooperation with the elements. The beveled edges do not hold. They release, teaching that longevity often begins with letting go. In sunlight, the sloped tops catch a glimmer, tracing clean lines across the fence. During storms, they perform their quiet duty, preserving strength beneath a veil of rain. Over time, the boards age gracefully, their grain enriched by weather rather than broken by it. Standing near, one can hear the rhythm of water falling in soft notes, a kind of music composed by wood and storm. Flowers at the base rise brighter for the gift. The fence remains strong, the garden nourished. In this balance of shelter and surrender, the garden whispers. Resilience is not about resisting the rain, but learning how to dance with it. (21) Chalkboard Kids Panel. In the corner of the fence, black mat gleams softly, waiting not for polish but for imagination. It is a chalkboard, framed in rustic wood, set low enough for small hands to reach. Here, flowers are drawn in bright chalk long before they bloom in soil. Stars scatter across the board even under daylight, and names are written, erased, and written again. The garden gains another layer of life, not only from vines and blossoms, but from the laughter of children sketching their world. Their drawings change with the days. Suns, houses, hearts, perhaps even the outline of the very fence they lean upon. Rain comes and washes it away, only to give them a fresh canvas, as though the sky itself reset the stage. For parents, it is more than play. It is peace, patio tables free from crayon marks, walls spared from scribbles. And for the children, it is freedom, a gallery that grows with them, bordered by wood yet open to endless skies of possibility. This chalkboard panel transforms the fence into memory, each doodle a fleeting masterpiece. And just beyond, where paws and tails roam, another design reminds us that gardens belong to every member of the family. (22) Dog Peek Window plus Dig Guard. At nose height, a circle in the fence frames more than wood. It frames curiosity. A dog's eyes appear, bright and eager, peering into the world beyond. This peek window is small but transformative. It quiets the bark, satisfies the longing to see, and turns the boundary into a theater of daily life. Beneath it, a quiet guard lies hidden in plain sight. Wire mesh, set just below the mulch, discourages paws from digging, preserving both fence and flowerbed. The soil breathes, roots still spread, yet tunnels find no path to escape. What might have been a constant struggle becomes harmony between pet and garden. Together, these details speak of care. They honor not only the design of the fence but the needs of the four-legged companions who share the space. The peek window invites wonder. The guard offers safety. Both remind us that beauty in a garden is not only in flowers or timber, but in the ways it holds every member of the household in peace. Evening falls, and the dog still watches, framed by wood, while fireflies dance across the yard. Beyond the fence, another secret awaits, where heritage and memory are carved into posts themselves. (23) Heritage carvings and local story markers. Every fence holds the garden inside, but some also hold its story. On these posts, initials are carved, not with haste but with care, etching names that linger long after voices fade. Beside them, the coordinates of a hometown lie inscribed, numbers that anchor memory to place, a quiet reminder of roots. Sometimes, a weathered horseshoe is mounted at eye level, its iron surface burnished by time. Once it carried weight on fields or paths, now it stands as a relic of resilience, a charm of good fortune. Other small markers, rusted hinges, fragments of tools, find new life here, whispering tales of labor and land. These carvings and artifacts transform wood into narrative. Guests pause, fingertips brushing grooves, reading the stories not in books but in grain and metal. Each post becomes personal, more than timber. It is a keeper of memory, a conversation with heritage. As light shifts, shadows deepen the engravings, as though the sun itself reads along. In these details, the fence ceases to be anonymous. It becomes rooted, intimate, carrying the history of people and place into the present garden. And just ahead, another gesture of care ensures that even maintenance becomes ritual, not burden. (24) Seasonal oil maintenance. Wood, like skin, breathes. Over seasons it weathers, dries, and thirsts for care. With each spring, a rag dipped in natural oil is pressed to its surface, and the fence drinks deeply. The grain darkens, lines of age glowing as though fire were caught within. This ritual is less about labor than about relationship, a conversation renewed each year between human hands and wood that shelters. The oil is humble, drawn from nature itself, linseed, soy, or simple blends mixed with earth pigment. Yet its effect is transformative. The timber softens to touch, water beads instead of soaking, and the air carries a faint, wholesome scent. Each application becomes an act of preservation, but also of gratitude. On one side of a post, untreated wood pales and cracks. On the other, oiled grain gleams with quiet resilience. The difference is striking, a reminder of how little it takes to extend life when care is consistent. As days pass, rain and sun will again test the fence. But with oil renewed, it stands ready, season after season, not rigid against time, but partnered with it. In this small ritual, maintenance becomes memory, and wood becomes legacy. '25. Fence zoning and garden rooms. A garden can be more than one space. It can be many, each with its own story. Fences, when placed thoughtfully, do not simply enclose. They guide, they frame, they divide the open into intimate rooms. Here, a trellis extension creates a nook for reading, where ivy drapes like a curtain. There, a short divider marks a grilling station, its gravel underfoot crunching with every step. Beyond, brick paths lead to an herb patch, fragrant and practical. Each zone carries a different rhythm. Laughter near the fire pit, silence beneath the arbor, focus in the vegetable bed. Yet all are bound together by the same rustic lines of wood and vine. The fence is no longer a single boundary. It becomes the hallway of an outdoor home, leading gently from one memory to the next. Overhead, textures change. The gravel gives way to brick, grass meets stone. Feet feel the shift before eyes do, and the body knows it has entered another chapter. This layering of spaces makes even the smallest backyard feel expansive, as though it holds a world within its posts. With zoning, the garden transforms into a tapestry of rooms, each one offering a different kind of belonging. Yet together, they create one story woven through wood and earth. If one scrap on your fence can change the whole mood, imagine what 25 can do. Save this video for your weekend build, share it with a friend who hoards pallets, and dive next into our playlist Don't Throw This. Trash, Garden Treasure. I'm Archon. See you next week with more garden magic from the things you almost threw away.